News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Chris Crock Show, and our number, of course, 800-288-WBAP. That's 800-288-9227. Well, here we are, and we have the Trump trial day 2. New charges have been unfurled, and here it is. The new charges are conspiracy. Isn't that nice? Conspiracy. And that conspiracy is covering up, paying off people, covering up people, conspiring with David Pecker, the publisher of the National Enquirer, a former Trump friend. I don't know if he still is. Doesn't seem like it. And also, in addition to paying him off, conspiring with Trump attorney Cohen, the convicted felon, convicted perjurer, who a judge says is a serial liar in open court. And so you conspired. You met with each other. You conspired for a way to cover up and to pay people off to help your campaign. This, however, is being called no case by Trump, not fan of Trump's, Andy McCarthy, former U.S. Former prosecutor, federal prosecutor for the U.S. Southern District of New York. And he said today Bragg implements the plan to mislead the jury about the charges. No sooner did I complete the last post that Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, an elected Democrat, made a profit out of me. I explained Bragg was trying to hoodwink the jury into believing he had charged former president with conspiracy. In other words, an agreement to commit a crime, in this instance, a scheme with David Pecker and Michael Cohen to suppress politically damaging information. Number one, the grand jury didn't charge with Trump with conspiracy. Number two, it's not a crime to suppress politically damaging information. So it could not be a crime. But lo and behold, here's the new trick. Hocus pocus, as Greg Jarrett, legal analyst of Fox News, says as well. So we have that. The hocus pocus. I love that one. We have that going on today. We have Trump commenting again in the halls outside of the trial. And here he is.
Well, I think the gag order is totally unconstitutional. Can't even allow articles to be put in. As an example, these are articles that were over the last day and a half. They're very good articles. They say the case is a sham and it shouldn't need to be tried. It shouldn't have been submitted. And I don't even know if you're allowed to put them in. We have a gag order, which to me is totally unconstitutional. I'm not allowed to talk, but people are allowed to talk about me. So they can talk about me. They can say whatever they want. They can lie. But I'm not allowed to say anything. I just have to sit back and look at why a conflicted judge has ordered me to have a gag order. I don't think anybody's ever seen anything like this.
So there he is, and as I said yesterday, I can't help but seeing this and hearing the echo in the hallway and seeing him, and I'm like, this is such a brilliant plan by Joe Biden to make all these bogus charges and get Trump bogged down with this and look like a criminal. So we're going to be talking about that coming up next at quarter after the hour here, 15 after, in 8 minutes. Here's more stuff we got ready from the Politico today. Inside the off-the-record calls held by anti-Trump legal pundits. All the legal pundits you're seeing on MSNBC, CNN, and NBC and all of them, the mainstreams, they're all meeting together every week on a phone, even though they're with the different networks. They are conspiring to come up with their stories to say how to attack Trump and put him in jail and to say it to the public. We also find out today that a brand new unredacted motion that the White House tried to hide and the DOJ tried to hide shows that NARA, that's the National Archives and Records Administration, they conspire with Joe Biden and his DOJ for 5 months before charging on the documents, classified documents case. Joe Biden's White House, Joe Biden's DOJ conspired with the NARA, which is illegal apparently, according to the Post Millennial in the column today about this, for 5 months, laying out and communicating with each other. And the rough draft of what the complaint was going to be by NARA was vetted and given to Joe Biden's team. Everything in every case across this country is completely rigged. So a couple questions for you at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Are you surprised to hear that many of the legal experts, quote unquote, that are contributors to CNN, MSNBC, and other left-leaning news outlets are all meeting together weekly to talk about Trump's legal cases? And do you think it's a conflict of interest for these so-called legal experts to go on and pretend like this is their independent analysis when it's what the herd tells them to say? And do you think any of the charges and cases that we're seeing, whether it be in New York City, the two different things they've done there, whether it be in Georgia, whether it be at the federal cases in D.C., Florida, etc., do you think any of these charges in any of these cases against President Trump are actually authentic cases, or is every one of them put together by Joe Biden? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Lines wide open for you right now at 800-288-WBAP. This is really so naked now. It's so nakedly obvious. You have the Biden White House and Department of Justice collaborating with NARA, apparently illegally, for 5 months to nail Trump to come up with a case on documents so they can go after him and put him in jail for that. So that's the documents case. And we have also the New York case where you literally have number 3, the third highest ranking, the deputy attorney general, like the number 3 person below the attorney general, okay, or 2 people below the attorney general. He left his position there to be the prosecutor, the lead prosecutor on this case that's going on right now for the Stormy Daniels trial. I mean, who the hell leaves the third best perch at Justice Department to go prosecute a local case? Joe Biden put it all together. And we see collaboration with NARA, National Archives and Records Administration, every single thing. And we see the fake pundits on TV, the people with law degrees collaborating together to come up with the best ideas, what they can. This is why they all say the same thing. Can you believe this? I can't believe how naked and open and disgusting it is. And none of this will be prosecuted for violating federal rules, federal laws with NARA and Biden. And I do want to tell you that a GOP lawmaker today demanded answers on the former Biden official joining, quote, the cesspool team prosecuting Trump. They're literally a congressman, Congressman Lance Gooden from Texas, literally says he's going to get those records. He's going to get the Freedom of Information request, or maybe he'll use his congressional subpoena powers through the House that's controlled by the Republicans for now, and force every document he says he's going to get from everything from the Biden DOJ coordinating with this case on the documents to show that it's illegal, it's in violation of ethics and codes, and in fact, the law. This is now the open and obvious. There's no question. This was Joe Biden's strategy for the past 2 years. This is how he knows it's going to be Trump. He cannot beat Trump, and he has to cheat. And he literally has to destroy how this country works, how our Justice Department works, the laws, the ethics, the morals, and violate everything at all costs, because Trump is Hitler, and when it's Hitler, you can do anything. It all means break all the rules. But you can never do this if you're on the other side. So what we must do is surrender and be prepared to go to jail, or be quiet and go along with this and be ashamed of any support for any Republican or the president. Isn't this just vile? Isn't this very scary to see your country falling apart here? I'm going to give you the update on 2 things. We have 2 big things that came out also coming up next. The gag order hearing, what Justice Juan Merchan in this New York case said about Donald Trump, and what is he going to do about the violations of the gag order? How's he going to enforce that? I'm going to tell you about that. That's going to be very interesting. Along with what Cohen, the former Trump attorney Cohen, told Pecker, the publisher of the tabloid, and what he told Trump about taking a DNA test. Would he take one? Would he not take one to disprove or to prove a story? That's coming up next as well on Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Our number is 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Are you surprised to hear many of the legal experts are collaborating on the phone from all the different networks to have common themes and answers and responses? And do you think it's a conflict of interest for all these so-called legal experts to do this? And do you think any of the charges and any of the cases against Trump are authentic, or are they all put together by his opponent, Joe Biden?
You are blocking vehicular traffic. If you do not move and get onto the sidewalk right now, you will be arrested for disorderly conduct.
Thank you, crazy NYU, pro-Palestinian, and perhaps anti-Semitic, depending on what they're saying and who they are. I don't consider any of these protests that I'm seeing on these campuses to be nothing but anti-Semitic. And also very, very pro-terrorist, saying we are Hamas. I played you those. And if they're Hamas, they need to be treated like Hamas. What do we do to Hamas here? We arrest them and we prosecute them, don't we? And I love an idea I heard on Fox News this afternoon. Lock them up, hold them as a hostage, negotiation for Hamas holding hostages. If you're Hamas, let's use them as bargaining chips to get the hostages back, the 5 Americans that were kidnapped and the 134, most of whom are dead because the terrorists said, oh, we're so sorry, they die. It's your fault, Zionist. Yeah, really? Is it their fault? Yeah. Now, couple of things on Trump case today in New York and all the cases. We find out that all the MSNBC, fake news, CNN, all of them are collaborating together, having weekly calls to strategize in what they're going to say. It's completely rigged. That doesn't surprise me at all. Don't you think that's ridiculous and a conflict of interest? Does it surprise you? It did me, but nothing surprises me anymore. I'm like, this is unbelievable. And do you think any of the charges and cases against President Trump, the local ones, the federal ones, all of them, do you think any of them are actual authentic cases? Or are they all put together by Joe Biden? As I believe. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. Trump is accused of willfully violating the gag order. At the contempt hearing, the furious judge is now warning he'll put Trump under oath to explain his threatening, quote-unquote, posts as he rips into Trump's lawyers, saying you've lost all credibility and silly arguments. Here's what's happening. Judge Juan Marchand ended the day with, I'm going to be thinking about what your punishment will be for this. I'm going to be thinking about if I will jail you. Do you know what Alvin Bragg said to the prosecutor said today? Don't jail him for that, sir. We're not asking you for that. What do you mean? He's Hitler. You got him. Oh, he rigged elections. Oh, he violated all these federal laws. Oh, they all expired. The Department of Justice wouldn't prosecute it. The federal prosecutor there in the Southern District of New York looked at it and wouldn't prosecute it. The FEC, Federal Elections Commission, looked at it and wouldn't prosecute it. The former DA for Manhattan, Cy Vance, looked at it and said, there's no case here. And then you came in and you said there's no case. And then one of your guys left and did a tell-all book about how wrong you are and how you're horrible. And then you changed your mind. And then Biden sent his number 3 from the Department of Justice to leave his team and go work for you. And he's your lead prosecutor. He gave the opening statements. Everything's rigged. So Juan Marchand is holding over his head that he might put Trump in jail. And that's an interesting question. I'll throw that out to you, too. Do you think Trump would win more if he gets put in jail in this? Who would come out of that ahead, in your opinion? Tyler and Granbury, you're on 820 AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, Tyler.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up?
It's disgusting what's happening in this country. I mean, it feels more and more like a oligarchy in charge, where it's like elite ruling classes or a mafia type element, where it's like, oh, hey, you guys have votes. Oh, yeah, you have the U.S. Constitution, Bill of Rights. Yeah, sure. but we're going to treat it just as much as we treat like the taxpayers' dollars. We're just going to play around with all of it because it doesn't matter to us. Because no matter what y'all do, we have the power. So your votes don't matter. We'll take away your guns. We're going to do X, Y, and Z to your country that, what it was founded on, what was it built for originally. They just don't care. It's just paper that they're going to tear up.
And you know what's interesting is every single thing that they accuse Trump of doing, they're literally doing. That's what we're seeing. Everything they're accusing Trump of doing, they're doing.
It's gross.
Yep.
No, there's no question about it. I mean, what's happening to Trump right now is going to happen to every one of us who speaks up. Would you?
So, yeah, they're coming after you too. So you feel when they go after Trump, they're going after you?
I feel that they will be willing to go after anyone who speaks out.
That's right. Anybody who stands in the way, right, or points out these things. Yeah. Does it surprise you that these Department of Justice is collaborating with NARA, the Archives Association, for 5 months, which appears to be totally illegal, before they filed the charges, and having the White House having NARA send them their draft that they're going to send out for the prosecution recommendation? Are you surprised about that?
It's gross, but I think this has been going on for a lot longer than just this, though. I think this is just coming out. They're like, we can just do this out in the open now. It doesn't matter.
Well, the other thing is... actually, it wasn't out in the open. It was redacted heavily because that's what the Justice Department wanted, because they didn't want you to see. But they have a Trump judge, and so she unredacted it. That's why they want to get her out. She's exposing everything. Not on purpose. She's doing it because that's what she's supposed to do for her job. Does it surprise you also, Tyler? Last question for you. Does it surprise you also to see that every legal analyst on all CNN, MSNBC, NBC News, like all of them are having weekly conferencing calls to coordinate with what they think is thing on the case and what to think and what their analysis is? Does that surprise you?
Our culture right now is being controlled by both the West Coast and the East Coast. And the East Coast, New York City, all those major cities right there next to Washington, D.C., does not. They're all married. They're all in bed with each other. I mean, that's just all the power play. That's where the majority of the money's at. And it's just they're trying to control our entire nation through a culture war that they've won.
And they know what's best for us, and they're a lot smarter than us, so we just need to be quiet and listen to them and follow them. Appreciate your call. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Trump laughed at his love child story. David Pecker said today for the National Enquirer, his story would have made the biggest sale for National Enquirer since Elvis Presley's death. I bought the story. If it was true and published, it'd be the biggest sale of the Enquirer since the death of Elvis Presley. Trump laughed, and then Cohen told Pecker, he says, that Michael Cohen, the disgraced convicted attorney, said Trump would take a DNA test to disprove the doorman story that Trump spawned a love child, and that it was impossible that an Irish German Trump could father a Hispanic child. Oh, no, just anything. No, that's Arnold Schwarzenegger with the housekeeper. That's not that with the Hispanic housekeeper. Remember that? Yeah, that was that put a new meaning to that movie. Remember in Tommy Boy? Housekeeping! You want me for? Can't say it. You want me for a pillow? And we'll leave it at that. How many times do you do that when you're at a hotel with your spouse or your friends? Come on, dude. Every time. We do it every time my wife comes to the door and I'm in the room, even if she has a key. Housekeeping! And I do it loudly because that's who I am. And my wife's like, shh. Anyways, okay. Hey, coming up next, we're going to continue with this. Our phones are open for you. We got 4 lines open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Why I'm worried about our chances with Biden versus Trump after this trial and some other things that just came out. I'm going to tell you about that coming up next. And then we get into the unbelievable Jew hatred. And guess what? On our campuses, guess what? One of our local universities, the last one I would think would do this, had this crap going on today. And I've got the audio for you. Stand by for that. All that's coming up next on the Chris Crock Show at News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. You make that a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now on the trial here with Trump. We have a couple things. We have that Judge Juan Merchan says he violated his gag order that's totally unconstitutional, where everybody can attack him that's witnesses in the trial, like Michael Cohen, but he cannot respond. He can only say stuff about the trial, the judge, and the employees there at the court that are working on his case with him. That's it. And so he's violated it several times, and he's deciding what he wants to do. Put him in jail? Fine him? And the DA of Manhattan said, no, we don't want to put him in jail. No, we're not asking for that. Whoa! Do you think it'd be better if Trump is thrown in jail? It could happen. Judge Juan Merchan could announce it tonight, tomorrow morning. Is that something that you think would actually help Trump a lot more than it would hurt him? Do you actually want that to happen? Because it'll help him. And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. In just a few, we're going to get into the unbelievable support for terrorists on our nation's most elite campuses, but you're not going to believe it. One university in North Texas did one of these protests with a pro-Hamas, overtly pro-terrorist, pro-Hamas group that celebrated the October 7th biggest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust on one of our local campuses. And this one, literally, I'm like, it can't be that one, because I had to double, triple check. I'm like, it can't be it, until I finally heard. It's unbelievable. I'm going to tell you about that next. You're going to hear some audio from that today. It's terrible. Very bad. Okay, let's go first to Amanda in Arlington. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now 93.3 FM WBAP, I should say. Hello.
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm going to quote Nancy Pelosi. This is a diversionary tactic. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it, and then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this. So they have the validation that the press reported the smear, and it's called a wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press, report on the smear that we made. It's a tactic. And she's talking about, when she says we, she's talking about her and fellow Democrats. So, all this, the people, they're not onto it. They need to do their research, because Pelosi said this, and they tell us this. They tell us what they're going to do to our face. And people need to start getting onto this. And President Trump will have to speak all that. Guess what? President Trump has many supporters. So, I know he wants to be like a racehorse trying to beat the gate. But, we need to remind President Trump, he has supporters out here, and we can all speak for him. So, I understand he's a racehorse, and he wants to be let out that gate, but we're going to have to tell him, I know you feel that way, but you have plenty of supporters that can do all the talking for you, President Trump.
Okay, so then are you saying that you think it would be good, though, if he went to jail, or bad if he went to jail for violating his gag order? And do you support him violating it, or no? It sounds like you said no.
He has his own conviction. I mean, the gentleman, he is like, how he is, and you can't change people's ways when they've just been the way they are all their life. He has the courage of his conviction. So whatever he chooses, I support. And no matter what, his supporters see it all. We're waking people up. We keep talking. We're waking people up. They don't like that people are waking up and that people are talking. They don't like it, but they can't stop it, because right now we're like in a way, we are under tyranny.
We are, but let me ask you a question, though. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, I'm very worried as of today. And I'm going to tell you one thing I've learned, and I think this speaks of my maturity, honestly. I don't know. Each day I have a meter, if you will. I kind of call it a meter. If I think it's going to be good for us, bad for us with the election chances. And, I'll say today I feel very high chances, or today I don't feel good our chances. There was a few things today that made me feel really concerned about our chances in November with Trump. After all the good news we've been getting. And we've been warned, that a week or two can destroy everything, momentum or anything in the political world, as you know, too. Especially with the tricks they do with the press and with the law. Donald Trump's polling numbers from Newsweek, which is now a conservative publication that can be trusted. Donald Trump's polling numbers plummet with independents. And the independent voters has declined from 38% to in early April to now 30%. With a multi-candidate field that includes Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Cornel West, and Jill Stein. Now, I don't know. Biden's has increased from 33 to 34%. So but now he's below where Biden is. So I'm very concerned about that. And I really mean that. I'm not just saying that. I'm like, oh, crap, here it goes. The beginning of the end for our, victory lap. Then the second part is... donate on repeat from the Wall Street Journal today. Biden pulls ahead in small donor fundraising. A lot of these, here's some of them, have given to the Democrat dozens of times. If I get a note, especially if it's from Joe himself, I'm going to donate. So these are why I'm worried about our chances in Biden versus Trump as of today. Do those things concern you?
No, not at. Well, yes and no. I say yes because, like I just mentioned about what Pelosi does in front of the podium, talking from the bully pulpit there. They use the government and they have leverage from a lot of these 17 intels. So that does
they control it all. Yeah,
they control everything. So that does worry me, but. People like me who are bringing the receipts and we're talking and we're bringing the receipts and we're bringing the receipts and we're bringing the receipts, It
doesn't matter if they're not listening to you, if they're not hearing it. I love what you just said, though, bringing the receipts. I love that. I love that. I love that it comes across so flawlessly across out of your tongue there, out of your mouth. It was like, yeah. But yeah. I don't think they're listening to us. I think the people... Go ahead.
This is what I was mentioning on some other platforms, is that we do need to start showing up to our representatives' town hall meetings. So I called today my Congressman Roger Williams, and I want to know when his town halls are. Each of us, there's plenty of patriots, there's plenty of military that are veterans, and we need the veterans, especially if I was a civilian, I would be like, where are the veterans around here? Where are the veterans to be standing up for all this? They slap veterans in the face. Where are they to help us with this? And and I'm trying to find out when the next town hall meeting is for my congressman. And each of us in all these states, we need to start showing up at the town hall meetings for our Congress, because I know we have Texas politics, and it gets it's overwhelming. Local Texas and state politics is overwhelming, but there's then the federal. To me, the federal government is too big. There's too much business going on in the federal government. They should have no control of being so large as they are. It all starts with our congressman. That immediate U.S. Congressman is the one that every 2 years they're elected. They should be having town hall meetings, and that's where we need to start showing up, because it really starts with them.
Amanda, I really appreciate your call. Armandina, I'm so sorry. Armandina, thank you for your call. You're a fantastic and fiery caller. I look forward to many, many more of your calls. Please call in continually, because that's great. You're awesome. All right, coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, I want to get into the Jew hatred on our campuses. And wait till you hear what it's like to have one of these solidarity camps. It's this paradise for anti-Semites on the Columbia campus where Jews aren't allowed. And they're regaling and how pleasant life is with no Jews. And I think that feeds into their fantasy about wanting to kill Jews, just like Nazi Germany talking about if we would have no Jews, life would be so much better. Everything's the Jews, the Jews, the Jews. Well, I also want to add something else to that. An anti-Semitic, a virulently anti-Semitic group that the ADL is finally acting like they should and not being a leftist group. The ADL says they are an absolute open anti-Semitic group that praised Hamas and supports Hamas. And they praised Hamas after October 7th. They are at one of our campuses in North Texas, one that I would say would never have it at. I said, that can't be right. When one of my colleagues told me it was there, I said, it's got to be the other one. And you'll understand where I'm going with that coming up next, but you're going to hear audio. And this group should not be allowed to exist on our campuses in Texas or anywhere in this country. I'll tell you about that coming up next. It happened today. We've got audio on the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. We have a Students for Justice in Palestine. SJP is an anti-Semitic, Jew-hating, terrorist-supporting group, according to the ADL. And in fact, it says in the article I have in front of me online here, following the days after Hamas's October 7th slaughter of Jews, the invasion of Israel, the National Leadership for Students for Justice in Palestine, and many of the organization's campus chapters explicitly endorsed the actions of Hamas and their armed attacks on Israeli citizens and voiced an increasingly radical call for confronting and dismantling Zionism on college campuses. Some SJP chapters issued pro-Hamas messaging and or promoted violent and anti-Israel messaging channels. One of their most prominent actions was to call for a day of resistance on October 12th, where they would convene rallies and applaud Palestinian resistance to Israel. Okay, so they're terrorist supporters, pro-terrorist, pro-Hamas, and they are on the campus. I was shocked. I literally had to correct my boss who was telling me about this. He said, University of Texas at Dallas, UTD. I'm like, no, there's no way it's UTD. UTD is fantastic. They don't let this. For example, who's our friend we've had on the show? The swimmer who is a woman who spoke out against the transgender guy, Leah Thomas. You know what I'm talking about. Her name will come back to me. It'll come back to me. Is it Riley something or other? Riley Gaines. So she was at the UTD campus, and she didn't get spat at, sworn at, etc., like at UNT. So I swore it was UNT with the radical leftists there. No, it's UTD! UT freaking D has a pro-terrorist organization on its campus called Students in Justice for Palestine. Students for Justice in Palestine. Pro-terrorist group according to the ADL. And the pro-terrorist group at 3 p.m. today turned out to protest into an indoor sit-in. Oh, you wonderful terrorist supporters. Why don't you go fight for Hamas? Go be in the resistance. You know, they blow up so young. They could use your help. Go fight for them. Be a freaking real warrior. Go do what you want to do. Go kill the Jews. And then you know what? Again, oh, I'm so sorry. They blow up so young. You could denounce Israel as they put a rocket up your rump for being a terrorist and killing their people and raping their people, glorifying the rape, subjugation, kidnapping, and murder of Jews. You sick people. So, Governor Abbott, why is this organization allowed? I'm going to ask him that. I'll send it to his press people. Look up his press people for me. I'll make sure I send one. I think I've got her in my repertoire of email stuff, but go ahead and see what the press spokesperson is, and I'll pull her up. I have her somewhere in my stuff. I might have a direct link to her anyways. So here they are today. Here's the audio of them protesting. Here's both sides, pro-terrorist and anti-terrorist folks. I've got some more sound I'm going to play for you. My friend and colleague Clayton Neville, who got all that audio. He's the reporter, and he's also the co-host of the KLF Morning News. And you can listen tomorrow morning on 570 KLF News and Information to DFW's Morning News with Clayton and Laura, and have the entire interviews and all the story. He was there, and no reporter is better than Clayton. No journalist is better than Clayton Neville. And I'm proud to say he's on our team. So I want to ask you about this. This is also an amazing. There's also an amazing essay that I have to share with you, and I will retweet it on my Twitter feed. Follow me on Twitter at Chris Kroc Show. That's at Chris Kroc Show. Jewish Democrats. It's written by a Jew, Jonathan Braninsky. He's co-founder and CEO of Athos, a DC-based public relations firm and literacy agency. He's just a Jew who works in literacy. He wrote a scathing column of his fellow Jews. Jewish Democrats, wake up. The many of thousands of individuals who gather at Times Square, our enchanted resistance is justified and glory to our martyrs, are not registered Republican voters. They're not casting their ballot for Donald Trump. How many individuals who were barricaded the Jewish students inside of Cooper Union's library and pounded on the doors and carried sign that read Zionism, hands off our university, are registered Republican voters and plan to cast ballots for Donald Trump? How many of the thousands of individuals who rallied in Manhattan in December 25th of last year carried banners emblazoned with the words, by any means necessary, and resistance until return? How many of them are registered Republicans and plan to vote for Trump? Wake up, Jewish Democrats. The problem isn't fringe. And he said the key word is fringe of right people that support this, fringe right people that support this. It's mainstream Democrats that are calling to murder and slaughter the Jews. Wake up, Democrats, this Jewish Democrat wrote today in jns.org. Jewish Democrats, Wake Up, it's called. And it's a Jewish publication he wrote that in. Tyler and Granbury, you've called in at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. And you're on 820 AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, Tyler.
Hey, it's me again. Yeah, this thing that's going on with the Jews.
Hey, it's me again. When did you call? When did you call last?
Just a little bit ago. Not
if revolving doors are not the best thing for talk radio. You probably want to wait a day, but I'll let you take your say what you have on this coming up next. Stand by. Okay, we got to roll. I'm a little late, aren't I? Yeah. Okay, stand by, Tyler. So I'll implement my rule. At least, once an hour, once every show, something like that. But I appreciate them. Coming up next, we're going to talk about that. I've got more information. Wait till you hear what it's like inside of Colombia's Solidarity Camp, where they're glorying in a community that has no Jews in it, which is their ultimate goal. These anti-Semite Jew haters is to have their communities and their countries and the world cleansed of Jews and Jewry. They hate the Jews. That's why they're with these pro-terrorist organizations calling and saying, I am Hamas. I am a murderer of the Jews. I'm a terrorist. Next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I'm going to give you full details on the UNT protest, the UTD protest, pro-terrorist group on that. It's incredible. My question is, do you think our Jewish friends should be more concerned with the rise of mainstream anti-Semitism within the Democrat Party more than the far-right anti-Semites? What do you think? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227.